sa mundo. Maraming salamat.
Magandang hapon mga ka-MSMEs. Ito na po ang ika-4 na araw ng ating week-long celebration ng National MSME Week 2020. Ako po ang inyong host, Ms. Mary Cris Cura of the Philippine Trade Training Center, Global MSME Academy, the training arm of the Department of Trade and Industry. Para po sa kaalaman ng lahat ng ating mga participants, especially ng ating micro, small, and medium enterprises, na nakasubaybay, ang PTT CGMEA ay ang attached agency ng DTI with a goal of mentoring the Philippine enterprises to gain global competitiveness through its integrated and innovative training programs. Today, aside from Zoom, we are also live on our FB page at DTI Philippine Trade Training Center, Global MSME Academy, and of course, live din po tayo sa DTI EMB Facebook page at www.facebook.com/dti.export. So please make sure to like our page to be notified of the upcoming webinars offered. As early as now, let me take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining us today, especially those participants who have been with us since the opening of the MSME Week 3 days ago. Maraming salamat po. Also, warm greetings for the viewers from various provinces in the Philippines as well as from countries abroad. Again, welcome to you all. To get recognized, please make sure to connect on our Zoom or FB chat box and tell us where you are watching from. Okay, in the previous days, we have been sharing with you different training programs from business development to finance to regulatory programs and more. So please make sure to register to all our local and international trade training programs offering lined up for the rest of the week. But for today, our webinar will focus on Islamic finance assistance for Philippine MSMEs. We have invited experts from different financial institutions in the Philippines to share with us Islamic financing programs on reviving enterprises and building capacities in the post-COVID period. Topics to be discussed this afternoon are overview of the Islamic banking and finance in the Philippines, COVID-19 assistance to restart enterprises, SB Corporation CARES program, financing service product for micro and small enterprises, and of course, Islamic finance prospects amid COVID-19 pandemic, product and services of Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines. So make sure to stay tuned. Okay, so at this point, alam namin na excited na ang lahat ng ating mga participants to hear from our experts. So hindi na po namin papatagalin. By the way, as of now, we are more than 300 registered participants. So before we proceed to our training proper, we would like to engage you through our poll activity. We would like to know your thoughts on, here's our poll question. Okay. So the question goes, how would you describe your awareness about Islamic banking and financing? Choices are, I am already aware and somehow knowledgeable about it. I already heard about it but would want to gain more knowledge. Next, I have never heard about it, but I am interested of gaining knowledge about Islamic banking and finance. Okay, so please share your thoughts with us. We will flash the result of these poll questions toward the end of the session. Okay, so sana po lahat ng ating participants ay nakapagsagot na ng ating poll question. So for the additional reminders for our moderated open forum to be facilitated by my co-moderator, Attorney Raison Arubinto of the DTI Export Marketing Bureau, we will have this towards the end of the session. So we encourage everyone to drop your questions on the Q&A box at Zoom. And for those watching via FB Live, please type your question on the comment section below. Next, e-certificates and copies of training materials will be issued to those participants who are able to complete the session and accomplish our online client satisfactory feedback survey or CSF form. So please make sure to submit your CSF form before 5 p.m. tomorrow, July 24, 2020. Thank you. So we in PTTC Jumea has always been partnering with different institutions locally and internationally to provide all of you, our MSMEs, the up-to-date trends that surround the trade and export industry that affect our business. So allow me to acknowledge and express our gratitude to our partner organizations in this webinar. Of course, the DDI Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprises, the DTI Export Marketing Bureau, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Small Business Corporation, ASA Philippines Foundation Inc., and of course, Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines. Thank you. Okay, so now to begin with, let me introduce to you the Undersecretary of the Department of Trade and Industry Trade Promotions Group, Yusek Abdulgani Makatoman, for his opening remarks. Good afternoon, Yusek Gani.
Thank you, Marie Chris, for the kind introduction, and a very good afternoon to everyone. First of all, allow me to greet everyone in a universal greeting of peace. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And welcome to our webinar on COVID-19 Islamic Finance Assistance for the Philippine MSMEs. It is my pleasure to be with you all again virtually, and we are now living the new normal life, and I hope you are all safe and healthy. I am pleased to finally have a particular session on Islamic banking and finance to discuss possible options of our MSMEs who are greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. I personally requested this session because I know that financing is very crucial part of our businesses as we keep our heads above water amid this health crisis. And I am very happy that the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Amana Investments Bank of the Philippines, our very own DTI Small Business Corporation, and the ASA Philippine Foundations are with us today to share their programs that we think beneficial to our MSME viewers and listeners. Islamic banking and finance is in fact the ideal system for us, not only with our day-to-day life, but especially in calamities and disasters such as this pandemic. The very foundation of Islamic finance is ease and practicality. By eliminating interest-based transaction and forbidding of uncertain future trade, we are confident that both the Islamic financial institutions and the customers or clients are being secured of the respective rights without abuses, and that risk associated with any transaction is shared by both at an agreed terms. In other words, Islamic finance, if understood correctly, is the ideal banking and financing system for everyone. I will not take too much of your time as I want to listen also to our esteemed speakers. Attorney Noel of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Mr. Frank Gonzaga of SB Corporation, and my dear friend Mr. Camrol Terafder of the ASA Philippine Foundation, and of course Ms. Sarima of the Al Amana Investment Bank. Thank you all for taking time to be with us today. And allow me also to acknowledge and greet as well those who are watching or listening to us from the members of the Philippine Halal Export Board, namely Departments of Agriculture, Health, Foreign Affairs, Tourism, Science and Technology, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Mindanao Development Authority, and the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos. To our MSMEs and other stakeholders who are with us today to learn with us, I wish everyone a productive webinar. Lastly, I would like also to thank the Export Marketing Bureau for organizing this webinar, and of course in collaboration with our esteemed partners in the development and promotion of halal. Thank you and mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Thank you very much, Yusek Gani, for your informative and insightful message to all our MSMEs. Indeed, our MSMEs present today will really benefit from this, knowing that there are a lot of financial institutions that can assist them during this time of pandemic. Thank you, sir. So now to begin with, let me introduce to you our first resource speaker. Our speaker is a Deputy Director of the Supervisory Policy and Research Department of the Financial Supervision Sector of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, involved on prudential and policy reforms aimed to strengthen the domestic and capital market and the implementation of Basel requirements. He was part of the team which drafted the bill leading to the enactment of the RA number 11439, or the Act providing for the regulation and organization of Islamic banks. As part of the task force on Islamic banking, he is involved in drafting policy to implement RA number 11439, among others. Attorney Tianela was appointed as the representative of the BSP in the Islamic Financial Services Board, or IFSB, working group for the drafting of IFSB Standards number 22. So let us all welcome Attorney Noel P. Chanela to discuss topic on the overview of Islamic banking and finance in the Philippines. Hi, Attorney Noel. Good afternoon.
Oops. Good afternoon, Miss everyone. So thank you very much for the very good introductions, and thank you for all the participants of this webinar. And without much ado, I will start with my presentations, and hopefully I could answer the request of Yusik Pakatuman to understand fully Islamic finance so that as this would benefit our MSME. So my presentations is supposed to be to give you an overview of Islamic banking in the Philippines, including our roadmap from the start when we were just drafting the bill of the Islamic banking law. So the next slide, here's my outline. I will be discussing the challenges we address, hopefully right now, ongoing, also all the ongoing initiatives we do to address all these challenges. I will also present some brief background on Islamic banking and what are the elements of the BSP in promoting Islamic banking in finance, and what is expanded Islamic banking system as is outlined in the Islamic banking law. And it is good to know that there are so many opportunities in the way to jumpstart the implementation of this Islamic banking law. So first of all, the Philippines has been the first to establish Islamic bank in the region, but we have never reached the stage of having a healthy Islamic banking system because of so many constraints. Among them is that we have lack of clear legal and regulatory framework for Islamic banking and finance because our law was simply all about Al-Amana Islamic Bank of the Philippines. Even our general banking law is only referring to Islamic bank, but refers to only the Al-Amana Islamic Bank. The second one is that our tax regime provides no level playing field for Islamic banking transactions. As we all know, the inherent natures of the features of the Islamic banking transactions would necessarily demand more taxations. And because of that, it will be very costly, not only for the bank, but also for the customers of the bank. And we also have a lack of experts in Islamic finance, but this issue is not only prevalent, not only for the Philippines, but it is common issue to all jurisdictions that is trying to introduce Islamic banking and finance. And so we have a lack of investor and consumer awareness of the benefits of Islamic banking and finance because most of us know that Islamic banking is only for Muslim, but Islamic banking is for all, just like halal. Halal is for everyone. So this kind of limitation has a great impact for the demand and for the growth of Islamic banking in the country. And all of these constraints we're trying to address that. And because of that, we have drafted and successfully enacted RA number 11439, which is an act for the regulation and organization of Islamic Bank, which was signed by our president last August 22, 2019. And right now, we have so many stakeholders who are trying to implement the law. It is not only the central bank that is charged of implementing this Islamic banking. So to provide you a brief background on Islamic banking, it is nice to know that the very main objective of the Sharia, which is the primary controlling principles of Islamic banking, is that it's trying to promote the well-being of mankind and beyond. So it's the very basic concept of Islamic banking that what it's trying to do is to make people more happier in this world in the hereafter. So the concept of that is we are all trying to make things easy for us, and it is more closely related to removing hardship in every people's lives. So what is meant to achieve is what we call the public good. So ganun siya ka basic na dapat maunawaan ng lahat. So we all know that there are so many characteristics of Islamic banking. So, but from that concept, these are the very common characteristics of Islamic banking and finance. First of all, it prohibits the undertaking of financing of haram activities. So the Islamic banking cannot finance any activities that will be harmful to the society. Second one is that there is a set of ethical guidelines that will focus on fairness and social justice. this concept is very akin to advancing the financial inclusion agenda for the MSME. And the last one, which is very much important to the MSME, to the hearts of all our MSME participants right now, is that there is a full sharing of risk and reward, which is the very key foundations of Islamic banking. So in these concepts, it is very also notable that in Islamic banking, it considers all secular disciplines as non-secular. Like there's an interlinkage of sociology, economics, politics. Because of that concept, it's clear to say that in Islamic banking, all of these disciplines are trying to interfere in every contract to ensure that there will be fairness, there will be social justice, and equitable distributions of wealth among all participants in the economy. So that's the very basic of Islamic banking. And these slides present to you what are the common differences when we look at what is happening in the conventional bank, because in the Philippines, we are prevalently a conventional banking economy. So, but when in the way that we introduce Islamic banking, it's safe to say that we have to distinguish what are in the conventional bank and what will be in the Islamic bank. In the conventional bank, one of the primary purpose or the functions of conventional bank is what we call financial intermediation. In financial intermediations, the bank will simply obtain deposits from the public and lend it to the borrowers. The profits of the bank will simply be the difference between the interest they paid to the depositors and the interest income they receive from their borrowers. But Islamic banking is a very different concept, because based from that concept that we have discussed in the previous slides, there are some restrictions and some principles that are very ethical in nature. That's simply because, first of all of these activities must be linked to the real or economic activity. That's why there's always a wealth creations in Islamic banking, because there should be always services, trading, leasing, and any other investment activities that should be an underlying for every contract with the bank. In return, there is no guarantee, unlike in conventional bank, but it is always a profit-based oriented, most of the contracts. There is also no loan in Islamic banking, except if there is a Card Hasan loan or the interest-free loan. And all these guidelines, there's always a set of ethical guidelines, because what we all know always in the Islamic banking, when you hear about Islamic banking, is that it is an interest-free loan, interest-free banking. It is a very narrow concept. There are other prohibitions that set as the guidelines in designing contracts and implementing these products to the consumers. And it is very notable that there is always a fairness, because in every contract in Islamic banking, everything in the contract should be clearly disclosed to the participants, to the customers. So unlike in the conventional bank, where some of the information may not be disclosed by the bank. And these are the snapshot of the basic contracts in Islamic banking. And these are, some of them have have equivalent concepts even in our conventional bank. So for example, if an MSME has to rent a building, he would enter into contract of ijara with the bank. Ijara is equivalent to the leasing. So if MSME has to purchase a transport vehicle for his business, then he may be entering into what we call murabaha transactions with the bank. This is a sales with a profit disclosed to the customers. Wakala is about the agency. Which can be also undertaken by MSME and any kind of different joint venture or any contract or transactions. So everything here is not, although it is in Arabic, but when we implement the bank contract, we will be implementing these products. We will make it sure as much as possible that the customers or the people at large will be knowledgeable of these transactions in a more simple terms, because most of them have equivalent conventional terms. We will not be discussing all of these kinds of products because of the limited duration right now. But it's safe to say that in this kind of contracts, there's always close linkage to the real economy, because all financial transactions here must be linked directly or indirectly to the real economy. So everything, there should always be a backing of assets or investments, because in Islamic banking, financial speculation is prohibited. And in this kind of contracts, the fund providers, unlike in conventional bank where there is what we call depositors, here the fund providers, they are called investors or partners of the bank. That means that they will be sharing not only the rewards, but also the risk of every venture that the bank and the customers will be entering into. Because of that, what is prohibited in Islamic banking is the pure debtor-creditor relationships. Because the investors, the customers of the bank and the bank are both partners to every venture or the entrepreneurs that will be entering into. So this Islamic financing transactions emphasizes social responsibility because there should not be any contractual exploitations in every contracts in Islamic banking and finance. Every terms of the agreement must be stipulated in a very exact terms and conditions that are always known to both parties in every contract. So the goal of this contract is to provide benefits to the society. This kind of contracts cannot transactions or activities that would be harmful to the economy. Like for example, you cannot enter into any kind of this contract, the ijra, murabaha, or salam, if you are financing productions of weapons or gambling or any activity that is considered harmful to the society. So if you are an agricultural MSME, definitely what the contracts you will be entering into is what you call the salam. So it's just an example that there are so many opportunities if we have this banking finance fully implemented in the country. So on the side of BSP, these are the common, the basic elements we are adapting in promoting Islamic banking and finance in the country. First of all, we have to establish clear legal and regulatory framework, because our regulatory framework must encourage a level playing field where Islamic banking systems can operate alongside the national banking. So there must be a coherent, consistent, and comprehensive set of regulations that would apply to all types of banks, whether it is a conventional or Islamic banks. That would mean that whatever we impose to the conventional bank should be equally imposed to these Islamic banks. What are the benefits accorded to the conventional banks should also be given to the Islamic banks. Of course, there will be some particular characteristics of Islamic banks that we have to take into account. Second one is that we are trying to increase customer and investor base, which this SME forum is a very important aspect of that, because our system must allow a critical mass of market players under a competitive but well-regulated environment. And the purpose is that we are trying to have our public be provided with appropriate choices that will suit their needs and financial appetites. And that would also mean that it comes to the building or the promotions of innovative products and services. The Banco Centrals will not inhibit the introductions of different Islamic finance products if it's more beneficial to the economy. That gives us to the next slide, which is this slide is embodied in the entire Islamic banking law, which is called the Republic Act 11439. So under the law, these are the very components of the Islamic banking, which is what we call the expanded Islamic banking system. We call it Islamic expanded because before the law, we only have one Islamic bank, the Al-Amana Islamic Bank. But with the enactment of this law, there will be more other banks that could be established in the country. That is one component of the law, the establishment of other Islamic banks. Under the law, all other banks will be allowed to be established. That would include all foreign banks that could come to the country through any modes of entry of foreign banks under 115641. Our existing conventional banks, particularly the universal banks, they can also operate Islamic bank. This one is also being asked in our chat. So our existing conventional banks can also operate Islamic banking by establishing their own Islamic window or unit. These guidelines will also be provided by the BSP. And all other modes of entry what is more important is that we have now encouraging foreign banks to come into the country to give us more technology and more options for all stakeholders for Islamic banks. Second one is that there will be a stronger risk management and principle-based rules and standards. As BSP as the will have the supervisions over the operations of this Islamic bank. So we'll be also issuing or adopting all relevant rules and regulations that would cover the capital adequacy, the liquidity, corporate governance, and the risk management, not to mention all the other transactions that would have an impact on the operation of Islamic banks. And the BSP also envision on the aspect of financial stability, we envision a regime where it will accommodate Islamic banking within a flexible but secular and unitary regulatory framework. So as such, we will also be guided by our same mandate towards the sustenance of the financial stability in stronger risk management. And one of the most important aspect of this Islamic banking law is about tax neutrality. As I mentioned in the first slide, our primary limitations of not promoting fully the Islamic bank is we don't have the tax neutrality. So with this law, this authorizes our Bureau of Internal Revenue to issue policies and guidelines that will implement tax neutrality, meaning whatever tax the conventional products that is equivalent to the Islamic banking transaction should be the one imposed to our Islamic banking contracts. That would ensure that there will be a level playing field between Islamic bank and federal bank. And on the Sharia compliance, which is also another important pillars of Islamic bank. Right now, we are now adopting a decentralized approach, but the law allows even the centralized approach, meaning it doesn't prevent us that someday, if our industry becomes more stronger, more players, then the central bank can also establish their own centralized Sharia supervisory board. But right now, on our implement banking, we are requiring all Islamic banks that will be licensed in the Philippines to have their own Sharia advisory council. And on the next slide, these are the opportunities we are seeing, and which has to give us more aspirations why we need to develop Islamic banking and finance at the earliest or at the soonest. First, developing Islamic banking and finance would promote, advance our inclusive finance agenda, which is also closer to the heart of our MSME. Because Islamic banking pervasive use of the risk-sharing principles, the risk and rewards, and social justice is prevalently pervasive in all these contracts and transactions. Are trigger inflows of foreign investment to the country that would have a very relevant aspects on our ASEAN integrations and in the promotion of further liberalizations of our foreign bank in the country. But not mention as well that we are now trying to develop our halal industry, and we anticipate that with this kind of initiatives, more halal companies will be demanding for Islamic financing. And that would mean that there should be an equivalent or some parallel activities, not only on the halal ecosystem, but also on the side of what
Okay, so our speaker, Attorney Noel, is having a technical glitches as of this moment. So we are encouraging our other speakers, if you have any comments on the presentation of Attorney Noel, you may do it now, as requested by DTIE MD Sir Raison. Thank you. Hi, Sir Raison. Good afternoon. Okay. So I guess Attorney Noel is already here. So again, may I present to you Attorney Noel for the continuation of his presentation. Good afternoon.
Hello, ma'am? Hindi mo ba ako
Yes,
nakuha kanina?
yes, sir. Can you share again your presentation po?
Yes po.
Thank you.
Hindi po ako nakita?
No, sir. Pero ngayon po okay na.
Akala ko, simula sa start, hindi ako nakuha.
No, sir. Just the last slide po.
Oh, the last slide. Okay. So the start, hindi po ako nakukuha.
Sir, you may continue with your presentation yung last minute po, yung ngayong afternoon. Please.
Okay. So this will be my last slide. So the jump start, the Bangko Sentral has already approved two circulars. The first one is on the licensing of new Islamic bank and Islamic banking unit or Islamic banking window. So the Bangko Sentral is now very much open to any applicants who would like to be licensed of new other Islamic banks of the country, or even our conventional banks, to if they want to be licensed to have their own Islamic banking window. The second circulars we issued last December is on our potential expectation on the Sharia governance framework. So and the most important ongoing initiatives also is on the ongoing coordination between the central bank and the Bureau of Internal Revenue, so that there will be a tax neutrality for our Islamic banking transactions and contracts. And right now, it is an ongoing activity for the capacity building of all our regulators, our stakeholders who would implement Islamic banking in the Philippines. So I think that's all on my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Noel, for sharing with us the challenges and opportunities on Islamic finance in the Philippines, highlighting points that differs between the Islamic banking and conventional banking. For sure, all our micro, small, and medium enterprises are now enlightened on what Islamic banking offers. So again, we would like to remind all our participants that we will have the Q&A towards the end of the session. But as early as now, if you have questions or points for clarification on Attorney Noel's presentation, please drop your questions on the Q&A box for Zoom. And for those watching via FB Live, please type in your questions on the comment section below. We will be addressing all your questions during the moderated open forum later this afternoon. Okay, so thank you again, Attorney Noel, for sharing with us your topic. So for our second resource speaker, to discuss topic on COVID-19 assistance to restart enterprises, SB Corporation Cares Program, I would like to introduce to you our next resource person. Our speaker is currently the Group Head of Planning and Advocacy of Small Business Corporation. He was also the Department Manager of the Home Guarantee Corporation. He's an account officer of the BDO in 2007 to 2010 and an authorized signer of the Citibank in 2005 to 2009. He is a graduate from the University of the Philippines with degree in Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, and later on finished his master's degree in Tourism Development and Management from the same university. It is an honor to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Frank Lloyd Gonzaga. Hi, Sir Frank. Good afternoon.
Hi, Mary Chris. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and thank you for guesting us here in your program. And I'd like to say hi also and thank Yusek Gani, and also say that yung lecture kanina, I mean yung presentation kanina ni Attorney Noel is very informative. So without further ado, no, let me just try to share my screen. Sige, ikaw na lang. Thank you. All right. So let me just introduce the Small Business Corporation. The Small Business Corporation is a government-owned and controlled corporation created by law under the Magna Carta for Micro and Small Enterprises. Ito yung batas na nagtayo at nag-establish ng Magna Carta na ito. So kami ay isang attached agency ng Department of Trade and Industry, and we are commonly known as the lending arm of the Department of Trade and Industry. So sa ngayon, ito ang presentation namin ay isang kumbaga it's an attempt to try to understand, katulad ninyo, kami rin ay kumbaga gusto rin namin matutunan kung ano ba ang maaari namin magawa at kung paano namin masusuportahan ang Islamic financing principles. Okay, next slide. Ang paniwala namin at ang pagkakaintindi namin ay ang Islamic financing ay isang uri ng socially responsible investment that is compliant with the Sharia or Islamic law. And ito ay may 5 prinsipyo. Next slide. Number 1 is that the money is used merely as a medium of exchange and a tool for preserving and assessing the value of goods, services, and properties, and does not have any intrinsic value. Pangalawa, there is an emphasis on the activities in the real economy and on the sharing of risks and rewards. Pangatlo, ito ay yung mga socially destructive activities such as trading alcoholic drinks, betting, and gambling are prohibited. And number 4, yung riba or yung interest ay pinagbabawal din, at yung katulad nung nasabi kanina ni Attorney Noel, yung garar or yung ambiguous and risky transactions are prohibited. Okay. So kanina rin binalangkas din ni Attorney Noel yung mga maaaring financing arrangements under the Islamic finance, at ito ay next slide. Yung mudharaba o yung profit sharing, wadiya, safekeeping, yung musharaka, joint venture, sukuk. This is very common in the sukuk housing bonds, Islamic bonds. Murabaha, cost plus finance, hawala and international fund transfer system, takaful, Islamic insurance, and ijar or the leasing. So ito lang yung aming naiintindihan, at medyo nung pagkakarinig ko nga dun sa explanation kanina ni Attorney Noel, talaga sabi ko babaw pala ng aming pagkakaintindi sa Islamic finance at sa challenges na meron tayong hinaharap ngayon, no? So, susunod na slide is magpapakita dito kung ano yung Islamic finance and Islamic banking na itatag. Ito ay noong August 2019, katulad nga nung nabanggit kanina. It was established through RA 11439 under the supervision of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. In developing a lot of our programs, naniniwala kami, next slide, na yung COVID-19 Assistance to Restart Enterprise or the CARES program is a milestone contribution in inclusionary financing. We believe that it's a financing model mirroring some of Islamic financing principles, katulad ng 0% interest rate o wala tong interest rate, and that the enterprise are assisted, that we assist are those engaged in legitimate business and not those engaged in, example, gambling, no? And we are putting a premium on the positive contribution of financing assistance to the economy or the society. And we believe that it's of a universal coverage, and we are not discriminating as far as our target beneficiaries are concerned. So dahil dito, naniniwala kami na it's a step towards an inclusionary financing model that is somehow compliant to the Sharia law. Okay. And next is also a program that we have, next slide, on the venture capital, no? Because the Small Business Corporation has our own venture capital program, and we have allotted 50 million pesos of our corporate funds for this. Now, the VC Capital Fund or the Venture Capital Fund has assisted agri-technologies, and yung mga value chain, no, solutions for agricultural communities with technology ventures katulad ng UPLB scientists, And meron ding bagong programa ngayon under the Rapid Growth Fund, no? Loan to the national government from the World Bank. SB Corp will have access to around 250 million pesos in resources for agribusinesses in Mindanao. So siguro dito makikita natin na po pwede yung risk sharing kanina na dinidiscuss natin under the Islamic financing. Okay, just to elaborate on the COVID-19 assistance to restart enterprises o yung CARES program. Kung titingnan natin at bubusisiin nating mabuti, ano ba yung features netong COVID-19 assistance program or CARES? Ito ay 1 billion enterprise rehabilitation financing facility under the Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pagsasenso Fund, no, to support the micro and small businesses affected by the economic impact of COVID-19. So, sino ba ang maaaring mag-avail nito? Those enterprises who have been in operation prior to March 16, 1 year, no, 1 year in operation prior to March 16, 2020, may avail of the loan, and that enterprise should be 100% Filipino-owned, and yung asset size should not exceed more than 15 million pesos, no. And we believe that everyone and almost all enterprises have been affected by the imposition of the community quarantines that were declared all throughout the country. So magkano ang pwede mong utangin dito? The amount of loan, no, that you can, or rather the financing that you can access from this facility is actually not to exceed 500,000 for those small enterprises and 200,000 for micro enterprises. So again, no, I'm just gonna repeat that. Next slide. It's zero interest. Meron tong 6 na buwan na grace period. Kumbaga hindi muna kayo magbayad ng 6 na buwan. Ang termino ng pautang ay mula 18 months hanggang 30 months, no. So 18 months siguro if you compute that 18 months, 12 months ang repayment dito at 6 months yung inyong grace period, at kung 30 months naman, 24 months ang inyong grace period. Ngayon, walang interest ito kundi service fee, no. Yung service fee ay 6% for 18 months na tenor at 8% naman kapag 30 months tenor. Now, para saan ang service fee? Ang service fee na ito ay para sa pag-maintain na. O ito yung binabayad din naman namin dun sa aming mga partner institutions when it comes to collecting that the repayment, no? So ito ay binabayad din namin sa pag-maintain ng account or account monitoring and other administrative expenses. Meron din kasing mga documentary and other requirements na sinasubmit dito, and at the same time ito ay stratified, no? Kumbaga kung mas maliit lang inyong hihiramin o i-access na pondo, mas konti lang din ang documentary requirements na kailangan mong ipasa. Okay. Ang susunod na programa din na ibinigay din namin under the P3 fund that we are making available under or to respond to the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kalulungsad lang din po namin itong HEROES program. Oh. Ang tawag namin dito ay, or rather, this is an acronym for our program called Helping the Economy Recover through OFW Enterprise Startups. So mula doon sa titulo ng programa, malalaman natin na ito ay naglalayon na umasiste o tumulong doon sa ating mga OFWs na na-repatriate o naapektuhan. Ito yung mga kababayan natin na nagtatrabaho sa abroad na napauwi dahil doon sa pandemya. So ito naman ay kumbaga ang loan facility na ito, or rather ang fund na ito ay next slide. Ganoon din, no? Pwede kayong you can access up to 10,000 to 100,000 loan, at ang kumbaga ang pagbabayad dito ay may termino na hanggang 36 na buwan. Pero ang kaibahan dito sa CARES, no, ang major difference, one of the major differences is that ang grace period dito ay 12 months dahil naniniwala kami na ito ay enterprise startups. Kumbaga hindi ka pa talaga nagsisimula ng negosyo. Mag-uumpisa ka pa lang, no? Because we want our OFWs to believe that hindi naman huli ang lahat upang maging entrepreneur, no? And katulad din ng CARES program, ito ay may 0% interest or walang interest dito, wala ring collateral na kailangan. At ang tanging charge namin dito ay ang service fee na 6% kung hanggang 24 months ang buwan na pagbabayad or loan term, at 8% if it's up to 36 months term. And another feature of this facility, balik tayo, is that ito ay isang pag-ugnayan din or nakikipag-ugnayan din kami no sa PTTC GMEA tungkol sa pagbibigay ng kaukulang training sa ating mga OFW, dahil ito kumbaga pre-enterprise, wala ka pa talagang alam. So meron ka sigurong alam, but we want to enhance that skill no that you have in coming up with a business plan. So ito ay pakikipagtulungan din ng PTTC sa amin. Ang PTTC ay magpo-provide ng libreng training sa ating mga OFW, at ito ay mula sa business ideation hanggang sa pag-pitch ng business. So parte ng requirements dito ay ang isang video na maisasubmit nyo sa amin patungkol sa inyong planong negosyo, no? So if you're planning for whatever business that it is, you just have to be able to articulate kung paano nyo papatakbuhin ang negosyo, paano kayo kikita sa negosyong yan, at sa pamamagitan ng kung ano man po ang matututunan nyo mula doon sa modules na maibibigay ng Philippine Trade Training Center. So ito po, katulad ng nasabi ko kanina, ay sana we want to believe that these programs and these products or financial products are a step toward or steps towards inclusionary finance that is or that are compliant with Sharia law, and kumbaga sana maging halal itong mga programang ito. Maraming salamat po.
All right, so thank you very much, Sir Frank, for sharing with us SB Corp's assistance to our MSMEs, like COVID-19 assistance to Restart Enterprises program, as well as the program on helping the economy recover through OFW Enterprise Startup program. Again, thank you very much, sir. So at this point, if you have any questions with the presentation of Sir Frank on CARES program, please type in your questions on the Q&A box for Zoom. And for those watching via FB Live, please type in your questions on the comment section below. We will be addressing all questions during the moderated open forum later. All right? So for our third speaker, the next speaker that we will have is the co-founder of ASA Philippines Foundation. He also served as the chief consultant of the UNDP Philippines for microfinance until 2004. He has extensive experience in South and Southeast Asian countries in establishing microfinance system. He is profoundly devoted assisting people in conflict zone and war victims through relief and rehabilitation efforts in Marawi in Mindanao 2017, reviving enterprises, building capacities of individual of conflict impacted zone at the post-conflict period. He's also extensively involved on the natural calamity impacted areas like Haiyan, providing psychosocial support, financial assistance through grants and interest-free loans until the calamity victims are all ready to take off with business, finance, and leading to the normal life. He is involved in the social development since 1982 and exclusively in microfinance field since 1993. Served as Deputy General Manager and in various capacity with ASA Bangladesh since 1993 to 1998. He sits in the board of several nation and international level institutions, both non-profit and for-profit companies, mostly on microfinance, academic research, social development, organization, and social enterprises. He earned his Master in Entrepreneurship with distinction from Asian Institute of Management in Manila, Bachelor of Arts under the University of Dhaka. Last February 2020, he was conferred with prestigious AIM Alumni Association's AAA Award for his leadership to the extraordinary success of ASA Philippines Foundation. So, to discuss topic on the financing service product for the micro and small enterprises, let us warmly welcome our speaker, Mr. Kamrul Tarafder. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Marquis Kura. Thank you very much for your very generous introduction. Would like to greet everyone with our Islamic greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful, all praises be to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who created us and the one who has given us ability to work for us, for our families, and also for our communities. We're all came from Almighty God, and we're all heading to Almighty God in one day. Whatever you do in this work, it reflects what we'll be achieving in our hereafter. So our work as well. So in that light, I would like to give my presentations that ASA Philippines has been organized, not only just a simple ordinary foundation, but how it will affect our life also hereafter. ASA Philippines Foundation is an NGO. It's providing microfinance services and also other social services across the country. But at the beginning of my presentation, I'd like to give the basic principle how we do our work. Next slide, please. As you could see here, our system is actually highly, no. Go to the first, last slide. Previous slide, Fatma. It's a highly personalized business, making bridges of friendship with the people. It's highly risky business, and it is uncollateralized. A clean loan. And poor families, they faces adverse conditions every now and then. Therefore, we believe it's not only loan and financial activities, but it also has to be supplemented by other social services. In Islamic term, we call it sadaqah and zakah. Sadaqah is voluntary charity, and zakah is the obligatory charity. We are an NGO, but we are doing actually public service for the poor, for the downtrodden population poor. So our services actually cannot be compared with your banking services. Next slide, please. Fatma, next slide. Yeah. This is an institutional update, how we are today. Over the last 60 years, we have established 1,683 branches across the country that has been served by 9,735 staff. It was supposed to be 10,000 plus staff, but because of COVID, number went down. We are catering to close to 1.9 million poor entrepreneurs. These are all women with a portfolio of 22.5 billion pesos. Our asset is around 24 billion pesos, liabilities almost 16 billion, and our equity is 8 billion pesos. As you see, we used to enjoy 99% repayment rate, but because of COVID, it's now went down, severely down. It's 56.56 as of June 30, though it's slowly increasing, and portfolio at risk is 29.5 as of June. And the situation is a little bit improving. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah, these are some pictures who are our clients, what are the typical business we actually serve. As you could see here, a seaweed collector, probably she is from Zamboanga. There is a sari store owner, fruit vendor, and a Palayan lady somewhere in north. Next slide. Yeah. So these are typical business. Many of you know it. Next slide. In our portfolio, total portfolio, you see we are serving 100% ladies, and out of total portfolio, 43% are actually the enterprise that has a fixed stall, like sari store, a carinderia, a stall in the market. Then we are also serving agricultural sector. 32% of our portfolio has been given to the agricultural sector. At the manufacturing sector, it's 8% service, 8%, and others are actually 9%. And the people we are serving, those who have per capita income, $3 per head. Now, I will focus on our Sharia financing, which is actually compliant across BARM in Muslim Mindanao. This is also an update as of June 30. We have 33 branches there, 32 inside BARM and one branch, Baloi, which is outside BARM, but still Sharia compliant because over 95% of the clients in that place are Muslim clients. We have 31,783 borrowers in Muslim Mindanao with a portfolio of 512 million pesos with a total asset of 534. Our liability there in Muslim Mindanao 271 and equity to 263 million. Repayment rate is 62.98 and portfolio at risk is 21 point something. In this, no, please stay there. The previous slide, please. In the, if you see, compared to the whole program and Muslim Mindanao, the program is doing much better because whole program as of June 30, it's 56 or 57% collection, while in Muslim Mindanao, it's 63% collection. Portfolio at risk in overall foundation is 29, while in Muslim Mindanao is 21%. So you see those enterprises in Muslim Mindanao are actually doing much better. Probably because of the way we do it. It's all Sharia compliant. We have 33 branches with 178 staff and average loan size there is 16,106, while savings is around 6,000 plus. Next slide, please. Next slide is showing you the Sharia compliance certificate we have received of the advisory council, and we are the first private corporation or institution has its own Sharia advisory council. And we're waiting for National Sharia Advisory Council in the financial sector so that our Sharia Council will regularly report on the compliance matter. And if you could see that there are three distinguished persons in the Sharia Advisory Council, which is Attorney Mehul Sadain, Professor Julkipli Wadi, and Ustad Ismail Ibrahim. And we also have an expert. She's not the council member, but she's an expert who is helping us to develop our system to be compliant as well. She is Maharlika Alonto from Marawi City. Next slide. On our businesses and loan product, we give loan between 6 to 12,000 for business loan. And the first loan is between 1,000 to 10,000. It is always divisible by 1,000. Though we have clients, only a couple of clients who are receiving 300,000, but these are the loyal clients who have been graduated from micro to we call it a business which has growth potential. But we don't give more than 300,000 because it's the limit of our regulatory body of MNRC, which is Microfinance NGO Regulatory Council. We also provide loan not only for business, but for water and sanitation, to establish a water sanitation in the house. We provide home renovation loan. We provide solar home system loan. And these loans are actually discounted. And the loan term is 12 months, 24 months term. We provide discounted financing to PWD families and PWD personality. We provide financing also to an entrepreneur who is even a pregnant lady, as well as to a senior citizen. We provide loan, it's a built-in process within our system, a calamity financing. Even before we received the Sharia compliance certificate from our advisory council, we started this process giving calamity finances without any charges. In Muslim Mindanao, we call it Qard al-Hasan. And in Muslim Mindanao, it's all Sharia financing. I have already mentioned it to you. Next slide. Our financial structure within the institution, we don't receive grants. It's more than 12 years. We receive grants funding only for initial 3 years, which is only 41 million pesos. But our equity today, alhamdulillah, it's over. It used to be 9, but because of COVID, it's down to 8 billion pesos. 50% of our portfolio is actually coming from the client savings. We borrow money from the commercial market. We floated a bond in 2007, $40 million US equivalent, which is 2 billion pesos, which was 3 times oversubscribed. And we also received funding from ADB, which is $30 million US. And it was without sovereign guarantee. Next slide. This slide, if you could kindly see it, it's our CSR program. In the Islamic term, we could say zakah or sadaqah. Here, 6% of our net income always go to the CSR activities, corporate social responsibility, social activities, or 21% of our gross income. 21% of our net income and 6% of our gross actually goes for CSR activities, which are actually, we give death assistance, burial assistance, we provide mahasan, hospitalization assistance, we provide relief activities, scholarship, business development, medical missions, we environmental health care, child feeding, etc. and etc. And if you could see that this year we have assisted 2 million individuals with over 610 million, and over $500 million or 500 million went to the COVID expenses. We gave grants to all of our clients, and it's equivalent to 500 million pesos. And another 500 million, we might give it at a later part. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. These are some pictures of our CSR activities or sadaqah activities. Next slide. Yeah. Next slide. These are our staff. How do they perform their duties? When they serve a client, you see what are the conditions they face every day. And this is everyday task. Next slide, please. I'd like to give you a snapshot of our COVID recovery strategy, COVID-19. We extended moratorium as it was mandated by SEC and our regulatory body, MNRC. It's 5 months now. We are still on the voluntary collections. Those are paying, they are accepted, but those are not paying, we are not forcing them anyone. And we'll continue to give so. And there will be no charges, no additional penalties. It's part of the built-in process of ASA system. There is no penalties and no additional charges in the event if a client fails to pay over the term. We write off a loan, but we don't charge penalties to a client. We already extended, as I mentioned a while ago, ₹500 million of grants in support of to the clients. And we also provide, we started already, and we continue to provide Qard Hasan in the event of calamity, and COVID is a calamity. 20% of the ADV finances, we're earmarking it for our Qard Hasan. We are giving a bundle product to a client, which is a business loan as well as a Qard Al Hasan. We have a program organized by Coca-Cola and DTI, where SB Corporation is also part of it. All loan we will be providing as part of Qard Al Hasan. And in Muslim Mindanao, ASA Philippines was able to convince Coca-Cola to bring it to the Muslim Mindanao also. So Holo, Sulu, Basilan, Cotabato, and Marawi City, they will have at least 1,500 borrowers under this program. We already budgeted, and we're expecting that this will be around 1.4 or higher write-off for this year, and it's basically because of COVID-related expenses. Historically, for last 16 years, we had written off only ₹500 million plus, but this year alone, we will have a write-off of 1.4, and we believe it's simply because of COVID impact on the business of our client. And we believe that our equity will also be shrinking, will not grow this year. It will be shrinking by at least 15%, if not more. And we are still fine with us because because we believe that whatever we have gotten, it is because of the blessings of Almighty Allah, and it is also the trust and confidence of our client, which we call them our bosses, because all of our expenses is coming from their pocket. I also wanted to give you a snapshot on the impact. What are the impact we have created? Our impact assessment study shows 78% of our borrowers were able to increase their income. 79%, they have increased their savings as well as their assets. And 7% of our enterprises were able to create a job, around 258,000 job plus. It's on top of their family self-employment. 90% of our borrowers were able to send their children, those who are 15 and up. And since DTI has organized this for orienting the people at the micro business, I would like to give you this message, how you can avail a service within ASA Philippines Foundation. I am expecting that someone of your neighbors might be an ASA client. So please talk to them and talk to our microfinance officer. They will take you to our system. If you don't find, then you try to find out any one of the branch which is near to you. And I'm expecting that, yeah, probably your municipality already has an ASA branch, because we have 1,683 branches, and 86% of the municipalities are already covered by ASA Philippines. But in any case, they don't help you, please, you may raise a complaint in ASA Philippines Facebook account. You can also call in our grievance department. There are 2 numbers. I will not repeat those numbers. Please take it. And you can call anytime if you have any grievances about ASA Philippines staff or about our services, or if you have any suggestion. Complaint will directly come to me, and usually I send an investigation team. But if somebody is new to enter into the program, I have to humbly tell you that you have to fulfill the criteria. You should be a poor that I have described, within $3 income per capita, per person, per month, per day. You have to have an existing business, and you should be able to get recommendation from your neighbors that you are doing really good business and you are a good person in the family, in the community. So that's all. Thank you very much, our good friend Yusek Abdul Ghani Makatuman, for inviting me, giving me a chance to talk about ASA Philippines Foundation. And we believe these words will spread across the country, not only Muslim Mindanao, as Attorney Noel from BSP has articulated a great presentation. I admire his presentation. He mentioned it, he described it excellently, that it's not only for the Muslim, it's for everyone, because Islam is promoting an equitable business, equitable justice, and equitable contract. The contract that we see in the financial sector today, these are not equitable at all. These are mostly one-sided, if I would say. Diplomatically, these are one-sided contract for the benefit of one side, not for the benefit of two sides. ASA Philippines is trying to promote a equitable justice in our society. Allah Sallimak, Salamatak.
All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Tarafder, for sharing with us financing service products for the micro and small enterprises programs, and of course, the COVID-19 recovery strategies and the impact assessment of ACA Philippines Foundation. For sure, by now, all our MSMEs learned a lot from the different programs and assistance offered by different institutions and organizations. Again, thank you very much, sir. So again, this is to inform everyone that the moderated open forum will be towards the end of today's session. So at this point, if you have any questions with the presentation of Mr. Kamrul Tarafter, please type in your questions on the Q&A box for Zoom. And for those watching via FB Live, please type in your questions on the comment section below. All right. So for our fourth resource speaker to discuss topic on Islamic finance prospects amid COVID pandemic, products and services of Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines. Let me now introduce to you our last but not definitely the least distinguished speaker, to be followed by a short video clip of Al-Amana Islamic Banking. So for our fourth speaker, she is currently the Special Assistant to the Chairman and CEO of Amana Islamic Banking, Marawi Branch, which she also served as the former head. She was also the task force head of Easy Debit. She brings with her a 30-year experience in the banking industry, both in private and government banks. She finished the master's degree in public administration, major in organizational management from Mindanao State University. So it is my honor to welcome our last speaker for today, Ms. Sarima Pungina Gina. Hi, Ms. Sarima. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay. So we will play first the video clip of your organization.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. I'm in. Okay. Okay. So, thank you, Chris, for that wonderful and boosting introduction that you did before the short clip. And then before I start also, I'd like to inform you that Al-Aman Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines would like to thank Honorable Secretary Ramon Lopez, Yusek Abdul Ghani Makatoman, the Philippine Training Center, Global MSME Academy for inviting us over in this very informative event that would hopefully reach millions of entrepreneurs with prayers to thrive this period of pandemic. And also, I am making this presentation, by the way, on behalf of Chairman Alex Bangcola, who is engaged right now with other equally important meetings. Okay, so I'll share. Do I share?
Yes, ma'am, please. You may now share your presentation. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. So again, good afternoon. Okay, this is our logo. No, this is not the, okay. This is not, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me start with our mission vision. Okay, so if you will log in into our website, you will see this mission vision, and that is to become a full Islamic bank and afford Filipinos of the blessings and benefits of Islamic banking, financing, and investment. If you notice also, we use Filipinos in general, meaning we are not exclusive with Muslims only. So we welcome all religions in Islamic bank and Islamic banking and financing. Okay. So with our vision, this is our vision, and we are targeting this, and we hope to achieve this by 2022. So as you can see in this slide, we are a subsidiary of the Development Bank of the Philippines. And then with a brief history, Al-Aman Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines was created under Presidential Decree 264 in 1973 during the time of martial law. So far, we are the one and the only government bank given license by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to perform Islamic banking and financing. But of course, hindi na kasi di ba yung earlier na presenter from BSP, Attorney Noel, BSP is opening the Islamic banking and financing to all banks, including foreign banks. Okay, so the bank was given a 50 million initial capital to roll out Islamic banking and financing in 1973. However, it was due to the absence of governing rules and regulations to fully implement Amana Islamic financing. That full blast was not attained to its fullest capacity. Fast forward in 1990, in 1990, Al-Amana became a universal bank, instead with mostly Mindanao branches. Again, there were internal attempts on crafting on policies of our pioneering teams, but again, without governing rules in place, any bank would would not be able to carry out its mission vision. Fast forward again, in 2008, when a Mindanaoan President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo mandated Development Bank of the Philippines to acquire 99.9% ownership of Al-Amana, whereby the Monetary Board approved the 5-year rehabilitation of the bank. Fast forward again in 2009, coming from other private banks, when I joined Al-Aman Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines, I witnessed the dire need of our heads to redirect the bank, but again, without government intervention, no regulatory rules, regulations, Islamic banking and financing will still be a dream at that time. And so that was the brief history of the bank. And earlier, we now see the intervention of the government through issuance of laws by BSP. Okay, so for those who still might ask, why the need for Islamic banking and financing? When I saw the presentation of BSP, I almost scratched out this part, but then again I opted to speak to the PowerPoint presentation which I did, and so I'll show you. Okay, and also for the first part, what is since this is the main topic, main core of this event, what is microfinance? Okay, so I hope BSP will not penalize me for using their definition of what microfinance is. So microfinance is the provision of a broad range of financial services such as deposits, payment services, money transfers, and insurance products to the poor and low-income households and their micro enterprises. Microfinance is not subsidized credit, not a dole out, not salary or consumption loans, but a cure all for poverty. Okay, so, okay. The need, okay, let me go back to the, okay. With Al-Amana Islamic Investment, so we asked why the need for for Islamic banking financing. So for us, number one is ethical standards. Okay, all our neighboring ASEAN countries are engaged into Islamic banking financing, except the Philippines. Thus, it brings into a signal that we are somewhat closing our opportunities to this type of funds. And then number two would be diversification. Okay. In diversification, maybe our economic managers would know that investments should have diverse outlets, meaning in layman's terms, we don't put all our eggs in one basket. Many financial institutions in 2006 were hit by the domino effect of the Lehman Brothers in the United States. With the pandemic we are experiencing right now, looking at the economy of US again. Okay, so we really have to diversify. Number three would be to promote financial inclusion. I used to be a branch head, and I know for a fact that there are still a big chunk, a big number of people who have no bank accounts yet. Thus, they cannot avail of uh, loans like this one, this microfinancing. So that's the number 3. Okay. So let's go to the uh, next slide. Okay. No. Okay, this one. Briefly, let me allow me to. I made a brief research on who created microfinance. Okay, so since the mainstream here is microfinancing, let me mention very briefly on the subject where I made a research on its origin. Microfinance was actually practiced in the 17th century. However, it was in the 1970s where it became popular globally when the first organization, the Grameen Bank, which was started by a man, this one, a Bangladeshi social entrepreneur banker, economist, who won an award, the Nobel Prize. His name is Muhammad Yunus. So you know how it is to receive such an enormous award where the next phase would be part of history. Most of us know, if not all of the Bangladesh is a poor country. So this does not they don't have their means, obviously, because of lack of capital. And most of these people also do not have bank accounts, as I've said earlier, so they cannot access to financial institutions to cater their needs. Financial inclusion is the word. So Mr. Yunus took the risk of accommodating this situation and started a small number of entrepreneurs, which turned out to realize an income, and this few number became a large number. Fast forward, with the success stories of the borrowers, neighboring countries, including the Philippines, realized the need to model and later adopt microfinance. Okay. So now, in the Philippine setting, with the appointment of at Al-Amana, with the appointment of and good leadership of Chairman Alex Bangcola in 2017, we at Aman Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines, with a meager budget, also took that high risk and started to roll out Islamic microfinance. I was a branch head at that time, and I witnessed how people love this type of lending. In fact, I am with the office of the chairman now, and I left the branch with quite a number of pending applications. So I was kind of with a heavy heart. Okay, but anyway, the branch head will continue the pending applications. So next slide. Okay, with uh, with Al Amana, our microfinance is of two types, that of Al Murabaha and that of Al Ijara. For Al Murabaha, these are goods, the projects or items that can be financed, are goods that are intended for resale and that can be inventoried easily, such as but not limited to the following, like rice, LPG, cement, tires, charcoal, bicycles, and many others. Okay. For those entrepreneurs who are listening right now or viewing this FB Live, they can actually visit the branch, but since it's pandemic, they can initially view our website, which I will post later. And then Under IJARA, these are projects or items that can be financed, which are fixed assets that are intended for business use whose lifespan is more than 1 year, but not limited to the following, like if you have a restaurant business or a carinderia, you may probably need a chiller or refrigerator or a gas range. Al-Amana will finance that for you. Okay, so that's what happened during the Marawi siege. And then our amount of financing is from 50,000 to 500,000. And then under Morabaha, the profit rate is the total cost plus, okay, total cost plus profit payable would be based on actually cash flow, or to be paid on a one-time or in staggered basis within 180 days or earlier. Approved amount can be reavailed after full cleanup PN within 1 year, meaning pag natapos mo na yung 6 months, kasi 180 days is actually 6 months. And then after you clean up the promissory note, you can already reavail of the same amount. Okay. And then for Al-Ijara, profit rate would be cost plus profit payable in equal lease payments within 24 to 36 months, but not more than the lifespan of the item finance. So that was our microfinance. Okay. With the COVID-19 response, our heads offered moratorium to our borrowers. So that's principal plus profit. And actually, I just heard that our DBST head is actually crafting another somewhat gift or another package of moratorium to these borrowers, which will be announced later. And then number 2, response of Amana is to search for partnership or funders with other agencies to address pending microfinance applications. As I've said earlier, we have a lot of microfinance applications pending and awaiting for funding. So that's it. Actually, my presentation is just very short, and considering the time, and also we have other activities, so in consideration of that, I just made it very short. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much.
All right, so thank you very much, Ms. Arima, for sharing with our MSMEs the products and services of Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines, like Amana Islamic Microfinance Program for the entrepreneurs or MSMEs, and the COVID-19 response for our entrepreneurs. Again, thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, so I'm sure all our participants are very excited to have the open forum. Again, if you have questions or points for clarification, please drop your questions on the Q&A box for Zoom. And for those watching via FB Live, please type in your questions on the comment section below. But before that, let me share with you our poll results. So here it is po. Okay, so with our question, how would you describe your awareness about Islamic banking and financing? So with 47%, yung option na I already heard about it, but would want to gain more knowledge on it. The next one with 41%, I have never heard about it, but I am interested of gaining knowledge about Islamic banking and financing. And with 13%, I am already aware and somehow knowledgeable about it. So that is for the poll result via Zoom. On our Facebook page naman po, with 56%, I already heard about it, but would want to gain more knowledge on it. With 44%, I have never heard about it, but I am interested of gaining knowledge about the Islamic banking and finance. And wala pong sumagot for the I am already aware and somehow knowledgeable about it. So thank you for our participants for sharing with us yung feedback nyo on our poll results. Okay, so as of now po sa ating FB Live, meron po tayong naka-tune in na 100 participants or MSMEs, and via Zoom naman, ngayon po ay 150 na po tayo. So again, thank you, and please stay with us towards the end of the session po. Okay, so at this point, we are now opening the floor for the question and answer. So to all our resource speakers, please join us po here to the moderated open forum. Also, may we call on Mr. Raison Arubinto of the DTI Export Marketing Bureau to facilitate the discussion. So good afternoon po sa lahat. Hi, Sir Raison. Good afternoon.
Hello. Yes, hi Miss Chris.
Okay,
Okay na
so
tayo?
yes,
All right.
you may now start the question and answer program. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Q&A part of our session. This is actually exciting part where we try to answer your questions. And although we may not be able to answer all of them, but we will try to accommodate as many as we can with our allotted time. But before we start, allow me to shout out muna sa ating mga taga-pakinig at saka taga-panood all over the Philippines and from around the world. So I've been following po the whole week-long celebration of our MSME week, which started last Monday, and we have a lot of insightful information we got from those different topics dedicated to our dear MSMEs who are, and we know how difficult the situation can be at this period of pandemic for them, and in fact, to all of us in general. So for the last 2 days, we've been seeing the programs and the assistance of various conventional financial institutions like the likes of Land Bank, ADB, RCBC, among those who participated in the previous sessions. In fact, SB Corporation had already a presentation in one of those sessions. And as also mentioned by Sir Frank in his presentation before, SB Corp is not actually a financial institution, but because they have financial assistance programs which are, and to a large extent, similar with the principles of Islamic finance. Kaya we are happy for that they are also with us today. All right, and on that note, we welcome again our dear speakers. And by the way, you may still write your questions and clarifications in the Q&A section of your respective Zoom app or in the comment section of our Facebook page kung saan po kayo nanonood. Subukan po natin magsalita ng Taglish, no, para mas lalo natin maintindihan yung pinag-uusapan natin. The other day nga, dun sa isang session, may isang speaker na nag-deliver ng kanyang presentation in Tagalog, and it was very impressive na ang galing. But anyway, we have a foreign speaker pala today, no? So we have to make necessary adjustments then. So let's start. The first question is from, banggitin din po natin yung mga pangalan ng nagko-question para din shout out na rin sa kanila. So number one, first question po is from Mr. Clint Hassan. I think he's from the Department of Agriculture. What are the possibilities in establishing an Islamic banking that will be handled by a group of businessmen who are also led by a Balik Islam, willing to undergo naman daw po ng necessary trainings in workshop and submit pertinent documents as requirements? Any guidelines for this? And I think this is addressed to Attorney Noel of the BSP. May I, if I may call him po, Sir
Okay, thank
Noel.
you. Thank you, Sir Rai. So I think I saw also the questions, and I have stated there that the licensing of Islamic bank, other Islamic bank is already our guidelines has already been issued, and ilabas na po namin yung aming guidelines, and you can see that in our website under circular number 1069. So the circular 1069 provides what are the procedural and documentary requirements kung ang mayroong tulad dito ang question ay mayroong gusto mag-establish ng Islamic bank. So we are open for any applicants as long as you comply with all the documents we require. Basically, masyadong simplified yung ating licensing framework ngayon. So we align our licensing to the licensing equivalent to a conventional bank. But may additional requirements kami na dapat meron kayong undertaking to adopt relevant and comprehensive Sharia governance framework for the Islamic bank to be established. And that circular 1069 can be downloaded in our website, thebsp.gov.ph. Hope this answers your question, Serai.
Yes, thank you very much, Attorney Noel. So yun po, pwede niyo po puntahan din yung website ng BSP for further information. Okay, now we go to the next question po. And this is for Amana naman, Al-Amana Bank, Ms. Sarima, please. The question is, what is the status of Al-Amana Bank right now? Although partly it was discussed earlier, but just to reiterate, no? And may follow-up na rin na question dito na how can we get financed by the Al-Amana? So just to reiterate po, Ma'am Sarima, can you answer for the question? Thank you.
Hi, nakamute pala ako. Okay, Rice, thank you for that question. Right now, Al-Amana, kasi wala pa naman actually approved, no? Per attorney, wala pa naman ino-open pa lang naman to the public yung what's this, yung application for other market players for Islamic banking financing. So for now, Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank is still the one and only bank for Islamic banking and financing. So for as long as wala pang na-approve per BSP, Amana Islamic Bank pa rin. And for me parang sa akin, parang sayang naman, andito na kami, nauna kami. Maraming players, maraming market players na papasok, no? Pero ang Amana Islamic Bank, baon pa rin niya ang 47 years of experience. So, nangunguna pa rin kami. Kumbaga kahit may mga pumasok dyan ng mga bagong players, andito pa rin ang nauuna pa rin. We will still lead the drafting, the implementation of Islamic banking and financing here in the Philippines. So we are positive on that. Okay. So what was the second question, Rice?
How will they be financed by your office?
How will they?
Basically, it's a requirement.
Okay.
Qualification.
Okay. So requirements actually mga business documents lang yan. Halimbawa mag-a-apply siya ng microfinance, no? Kasi yan naman ang natin, mainstream natin ngayon, no? Ito yung topic natin ngayon. Actually kami yung kaakibat ng DTI sa Marawi, kami yung nagpapa-implement, like yun nga yung financial inclusion, maraming business actually, traders na walang DTI certificate, business name. And then, tinuturuan namin yung mga entrepreneurs to apply for a DTI business name. And then, comply all the regulatory needs of a business like the BIR, mag-apply sila ng TIN. So lahat yon, and then valid IDs, lahat yon pinapa-comply namin before we accept their deposit, opening their account. Yun. So, yun yung basic requirements. And then kung corporation siya, syempre andyan yung Securities and Exchange Commission na certificate. Yun yun. Basic yun. And then, kung meron pang mga naiwan dito, yung mga basic yun. And then IDs, kung meron pang mga naiwan, better visit our branch. So that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We're glad to know na kahit nga inopen na natin yung market for Islamic banking to include foreign nga, mananatili pa rin na number one si Al-Amana Bank dito sa atin sa Philippines. All right, moving on, we have a question po for the SB Corp naman from Saiduna Imam. The question is, paano po kami makaka-avail ng P3? Saan po kami pwedeng pumunta at mag-apply? That's the first question. Pero dahil related yung second question, Sir Frank, continue ko na rin po doon. If you got approved a loan from SB Corp, are they deducting the services fee to the proceeds? Sir Frank?
Please try again.
Thank you very much for those questions. Unang-una, yung aming pong P3 Cares, we made it available online kasi nakita po namin na there's really a lot of risks to let you go out, no, and fall in line. Medyo the COVID is really raging pa rin hanggang ngayon. The COVID-19 is really still a pandemic. Nandyan pa rin siya, hindi pa rin umaalis. So we made sure that the application can be coursed through online. However, and unfortunately, we temporarily suspended the acceptance of applications pending kasi kumbaga nung inopen namin to, we have received around 23,000 applications. No? Medyo marami to, amounting to around 3.2 billion according to SecMon. No? 3.2 billion, and but we have kumbaga opened a window for only 1 billion. No? 1 billion lang in-allot namin for this, or rather na-allot namin for this. But good news is that we will soon be opening again the application channel because we have already secured some arrangements with other funders like the Land Bank of the Philippines and the Development Bank of the Philippines. So we will soon be reopening it. As to when, hindi pa lang po namin alam, but we will definitely announce it through our website. Now, to answer po the question, you may log in online. Ito po ay yung link namin ay nasa aming website, and then that's how you apply. Yung pag-upload po ng documents ninyo, doon din po sa ating online application form. We call it the borrower's registration system. Now, doon po sa second question, Sir Rai, ano po yung second question ulit?
Will you deduct daw po
Yes.
yung sa proceeds?
Actually, doon sa proceeds po, no, it will be net of the 6% or the 8% respectively. Meron din po itong deduction na documentary stamp tax. But other than that, wala na po. No? So say, for example, if you borrow 10,000 pesos or say 100,000 pesos, and that is payable in 18 months, no? So you just simply divide the 100,000 divide by 12. So that's your total amortization will be 8,333.33. So wala po itong wala pong hidden charges, walang additional fees, but the loan proceeds that you will get is net of the documentary stamp tax and the service fee of 6% or 8%, whichever is applicable. So yun, sir, right?
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Frank. I hope that answered the question of our participant. May I now invite Mr. Tarafdil for the next question po. So the question is from Maylin Villantes Bencalo and from what's this? From Tarhata Kamaluddin. The question po is, how to avail this program. So this is the ASA program and still ongoing of any branch of ASA Philippine Foundation. And then the follow-up question is there an ASA office in Taguig area where Muslim community of MSMEs can avail of its program? Mr. Tarafdir, there are two questions. The first question is how to avail. So basically requirements and the qualifications of your programs. And the next question is your branches. Do you have in Taguig?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Availing any financial services from ASA is actually simple. It takes a very minimal time. If we give loan to a new client, it will take a maximum of 7 days. Between 2 to 7 days. Within a week, decision will come. But as fast as for a first-time client, it can be done also just in 2 days, because one of the policies is our microfinance officer and BM will make a visit. We call it house visit and business visit, because the businesses we're catering to, these are mostly home-based, right? Let's say if it is a sari store, it's at the front of the house, so these are home-based. So they will go to home and will see your business and will talk to the husband also. Our client, 100% ladies. Though there are instances that the business are mostly run by the gentleman, but in our case, at the forefront, it is the lady who is the face of the loan, and then the husband is actually the co-guarantor or co-maker of the business. But if someone does not have any a single mother, she can still avail a loan, but she might have a sibling or parents. One of them could be guarantor of the loan. They can approach any one of the ASA branches or any MFO in their neighborhood, or any one of the clients who is availing ASA services to talk to them, to introduce them to ASA, as simple as it is. They have to have at least one ID would be better, but if someone does not have any national ID or any government ID, it will still work. It would depends on the microfinance officer and branch manager when they will make a visit of the house and the business. So that's the simple procedure of availing a loan. On your question about available branches, we have branches. I mentioned 1,683 branches across the country, from Itbayat of Batanes to Sitangkai of Tawi-Tawi. You could imagine how remote we are. Itbayat is just a couple of hours by local banca to go to Taiwan, and Sitangkai is just 2 hours by local banca to go to Sabah, Malaysia. So in Taguig, I have seen into the system just now, because I cannot track all of them. I could track in the system. There are 5 branches in Taguig City. The first branch was in Lower Bikutan. Then the second branch was the Central Bikutan. The third branch of Taguig City is Pinagasama. And the Taguig City 5 is also another one, which is located in Joe Pio Philip Street in Lower Bikutan. So there are 5 branches. In Metro Manila, we have close to 100,000 clients in around 70 branches across Metro Manila.
Mr. Tarafdir, are these available in your website?
Informations are available, but the location is actually in the system. A general public cannot enter into the system.
All right, thank you very much. So if you're interested to to get more information on the branches of the ASA Philippine Foundation, you may
They can
contact
write in our
one of their
Facebook.
focal persons.
They can write
And
at
I
the
think they
Facebook
also have
Messenger or Facebook general page where I can. Let's say I am from Malolo City. I would like to avail your service. Where is the nearest branch for me? So our staff in the system will give you direction.
All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Tarafdir. Balikan ko lang si Sir Attorney Noel. We have a question from Ahmed Datukan of Minda. And although you have, I think, partially answered this in our Q&A portion, but for the benefit of the other also who might be interested to know, after passing of Islamic banking law, where are we now? Other than Al-Amana, is there any other commercial bank already took this in the list of their offerings? And if so, when are we expecting other banks to offer these products and services? And on a related note then, dahil nabanggit mo din doon sa presentation mo, what is tax neutrality? And that is coming from Ms. Lani Abella naman. Sir, Attorney Noel, please.
Thank you, Rai. So after we have the law passed and signed by President Duterte last year, so we have just issued preliminary regulations governing licensing of other Islamic bank and our prudential expectation on the Sharia governance. But right now we are still waiting for true applicants who would like to establish Islamic bank in the Philippines. But please note that before the quarantine period, we are in constant dialogue with different foreign banks in other countries who express their intentions to establish bank in the Philippines. Particularly, we have delegates from Dubai. I think there are 3 more delegates who personally come to the office of our Deputy Governor to inquire of our visions on the Islamic banking in the country. But unfortunately, I think the limitations is posed primarily by the COVID-19, by the pandemic. So hopefully we will be exerting more effort how to reach out with these stakeholders. But definitely for our conventional banks, we have a few number of existing conventional banks who also wanted intentions, who also expressed their intentions to open up their own Islamic banking unit. And because of that, the BSP has even offered lectures and conferences to these banks, to the existing conventional banks, so that they will have more knowledge, or they can explore what are the benefits of this Islamic banking and finance. So we anticipate that within the next 2 years, there will be more Islamic banks that can be established in the country. And that is the primary reason why our licensing framework for Islamic bank is drafted in a very simple terms. And we do not impose more documents compared to that, which is more than that from the conventional bank. So we are hoping that there will be more applicants for licensing to be licensed as Islamic bank in the country. On the tax neutrality, it is the concept that because what I have mentioned before, that if we don't have tax neutrality, the Islamic banking contracts and transactions will be very much costly compared to the conventional banking transactions. Because in every contract of Islamic banking, there are always different leg of transactions that would also requires more taxation, whether it is double or multiple taxations. By having a tax neutrality, it will guarantee that the customer of a bank will only be liable to a tax equivalent to a tax if he will enter into a conventional transactions with the bank. So that's the concept of tax neutrality. So I hope I answered your question, Sir Rai.
Yes, thank you very much. So we expect that within 2 years from now, meron na rin tayong makikitang mga ibang Islamic bank here in the Philippines, or if not a fully Islamic bank, at least an Islamic window, right? And then, yes, please.
Because the easy route is for our existing conventional bank to establish their own Islamic banking unit. But that would also mean that the BSP will be more ready to provide more guidelines and supporting framework for these institutions to be operating alongside our conventional banks. We have a big hope for this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Noel. And on that note, related po dyan itong question na susunod, and I think Alamana Bank could also share yung opinion niyo po. This is from Edgar Loriente. The question is, are the Islamic banks authorized to transact with rural, local, commercial Unibank, or any other banks in the Philippines? Can you give us a specific guidance on how do we transact bank-to-bank business with Islamic banks for our future business partners' transactions? Let's have first Attorney Noel.
Will you please repeat the question, Sir Rai?
Okay, the question is, are the Islamic banks authorized to transact with rural,
Okay.
Unibank, and any other bank?
I saw that question. So related to the concept that was explained fully on by the various speakers, the Islamic banking finance is open to all Filipinos or even to all different counterparties, whether they are Muslim, non-Muslim, rural banks, conventional, as long as all those transactions or engagement with these counterparties should be Sharia compliant.
All right. From an actual experience, Ma'am Sarima, can you share po the experience of Amana Bank on this kind of transactions?
Yes, Rai. Actually, the same answer with Attorney Chanela. Open tayo for all types of transactions. Meron lang tayong kailangan ng meron tayong compliance with those kinds of transactions and amount na dapat natin i-maintain. So that's it. Pwede. So my answer would be yes.
All right. So thank you very much. And our next question po is to Mr. Tarafdir. This is actually basic, but just for the information of everyone na lang din. Mr. Tarafdir, if I am not a Muslim, can I avail of your services?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the questioning again. Our services for everyone. It's a secular institution, but the Sharia compliance product that I have presented, these are in Muslim Mindanao. However, a Muslim lady can also avail a Sharia compliant product and services even in non-Muslim areas. So we are offering a services with the same basic principle. For the Muslims, we are saying that you can avail it with your faith even. So that's the certification I have shown. We have our Sharia Council Advisory Council. So it's for anyone. Anybody can avail it. I saw in your chatbot someone was asking if somebody could avail us services somewhere in Laguna. Yes, in Laguna we are spread across Laguna. I'm not sure how many branches, but it will not be less than 25 branches in Laguna provinces. It would be even higher. I'm just giving an estimated figure. So she could go any one of the nearest branches, or she could move around her community. She will find somebody who is availing us of services and talk to them how to be introduced herself to a microfinance officer. Otherwise, she could go to a branch. I also saw your question here. A gentleman, Noel Turbano, was asking about a Balik Islam lady in Davao del Norte. As I mentioned, it's for everyone. And for Balik Islam lady, if you give me her address, I will personally look into it if she was able to get our service. Please let us know. Please give her details in our Facebook account. I will ask our Facebook administrator to give the details to me and follow it up with our administration there. Thank you.
Right.
I hope I have
Thank
answered
you.
your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Tarafdir, for including those questions also so that our viewers are aware already. Um, our second to the last question is for SB Corp, Sir Frank, and this is also related to our OFW. The question is from Noel Sorban, no then, no? So can they are asking uh, if they are a OFW, can they also avail of the SB um, services assistance? Although I think you have mentioned this already in your presentation, but just to reiterate to our participants.
Thank
Sir
you,
Frank, please.
Sir Rai, no? The program is for repatriated OFW. So medyo malinaw po tayo ngayon, no, na yes, we understand that some OFWs may also need assistance. Pero sa ngayon po, tukan muna po natin at kumbaga gabayan mo or agapayan natin na yung ating mga repatriated o yung mga napauwi ng hindi nasa takdang oras. Kumbaga, they're not expecting to be sent home, but they were sent home because of the pandemic. That is the primary reason why we're setting up this program, no. Hopefully, and in the future, sana meron ding, kumbaga, I'm sure we can also come up with another program, but not only for repatriated OFWs, but also OFWs who will be very willing to come back home voluntarily. So, but in the meantime po, pagpasensyahan nyo na muna po that this is program is only for repatriated OFWs muna.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Frank. Before we end, allow me to answer the general questions from the general audience na rin, no? Questions like, what are the documentary requirements, qualifications, where to apply for these assistance programs that we have just discussed? Please, I think you go over to their respective websites for more information on those concerns. Okay, so lastly, may I request all of our speakers to say any final word, anything that you would like to say to our MSMEs and other viewers na nanonood sa atin ngayon. We start with Attorney Noel of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas.
Thank you, right? So thank you very much to everyone. So I think for the MSME is just like flagship for our good entrepreneurship. So as long as we provide them the supplementary framework and support, I think the MSME is a big force for our economy, so that our economy would sustain a growth trajectory even in this time of pandemic. So I think every stakeholders in Islamic banking and finance implementation should coordinate and cooperate harmoniously towards creating what we dream of, the expanded Islamic banking system that would fully support the growth of our MSME. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Sir Noel. Can we have Ms. Sarima of Amana Bank, please?
Hi, Rai. Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so on behalf of Chairman Alex Bangcola, we would like to strongly recommend collaboration of excuse me, all government agencies as we knock at the doors of our diligent economic managers to include Al-Amana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines, being the one and the only government bank for now, okay, authorized to do Islamic banking and financing. And that in these trying times of COVID-19 pandemic, we really need to collaborate, utilize all our financial channels like Amana to reach out as many entrepreneurs nationwide, especially the entrepreneurs in the rural and far-flung areas whose access to financing is actually very limited. At Al-Amana, we have a bunch of micro lenders pending in pipeline, ready and just waiting for additional funding to start and restart their businesses. Why don't you make us one of your channels, as we are just waiting for you to tap us. This idea or recommendation is also in support of President Rodrigo Duterte's Balik Probinsya program and the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. Kasi actually, pag hindi ho natin include ang rural areas, patuloy na masikip at sisikip palalo ang Metro Manila, which is the highest number of COVID cases na gaya ng nangyayari sa atin ngayon. We don't know how long COVID-19 will exist and might have second, third, or fourth wave. We don't know. Might be in a different form in the next coming years. We don't know really. Thus, we all have to take part in turning back our economy. After pandemic, babalik at babalik ang tao. Patuloy pong maghahanap ng kabuhayan. At pag wala pong mahanap sa rural at provinces nila, they will surely come back to Metro Manila or nearly nearby urban cities to look for sustainability. So with this, I leave this note to our tireless interagency task force, the IATF, economic managers to ponder on. Okay, so we at Amana Islamic Investment Bank is just here, ready and waiting to collaborate with you. Wag na po tayong mag-additional. Meron na po tayong infrastructure, meron na po tayong tao dito. So again, with that, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Sarima. You really have to emphasize na number na for now, no? Pero kaya yan. I mean, we can remain the number one in the long run.
For now.
Yes. Can we now call on Sir Frank from SB Corp? Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Rai. Ang araw na ito ay isang pagpapatunay, no, na ang layunin natin towards inclusionary finance ay unti-unting naisa sa katuparan. So these discussions on Islamic finance ay nagbibigay sa atin ng dagdag na kaalaman na marami pa tayong maaring pwedeng gawin. In behalf of the Small Business Corporation, kami ay taus-pusong nagpapasalamat sa Department of Trade and Industry, sa DTI, sa PTTC, sa Philippine Trade Training Center, JMEA, sa aking mga kapwa panelist sa usaping ito. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much din po, Sir Frank, for joining us again. Actually, pangalawang araw na po ito. All right. Last but not least, may we call on Mr. Tarafdir to please give us a short closing remarks of your own.
Assalamualaikum again, all the organizers, as well as all the viewers and my fellow speakers. It was an extraordinary event for me to be participating with all of you, all the speakers. You have enlightened me with your knowledge and wisdom. The COVID event today across the globe is actually a lesson for all human beings that we are in the hand of God. Despite technological advancement, all the development across the globe, but a small virus has taken toll of the economy and the health of every single individual in the globe. That defines that God is unique and so powerful. He can simply send just a small virus and can massacre everything. So therefore, it necessitates us. How do we business in this world? Do we business to accumulate our wealth, or we do business so that we are good hereafter? So our business has to be in all ethical purpose, in all ethical basis, and we should be doing business looking into the fair and equitable judgment to everyone, for both parties, not for only one, that only one will be accumulating wealth and other will be the one to suffer. So it is actually our time to concentrate on our not only in this world, also how we will be departing at the hereafter. So in this particular aspect, I would say that this crisis will also be over because it is just a lesson coming from Almighty God also to us, for us to remind that we should not be forgetting Him and we should be following what was the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this particular aspect, ASA Philippines is already doing it, continue to do, providing, if we talk about Islamic financing, the only loan that has been Attorney Noel has mentioned in his lecture is Qard al Hasan. We should be emphasizing on it. We should be giving business loan, but we should be also thinking about those business who have incurred so much loss, how they will recover from it. And in this recovery effort, they need a subsidy. I thank you, DTI and Ms. Maricris for organizing this. It was a wonderful event. Many of our staff has participated and they're watching it in your live stream. And many of our clients also watching it. I believe it's a good lesson everybody has learned from these 4 presenters. And we'll be continue to partnering with you even in the future. Thank you so much for giving me a chance.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tarafdir. We will survive and recover from this pandemic, inshallah. And that wraps up the Q&A part. I hope we have answered your questions very well. And those who were not answered, I see may mga tanong pa po dyan na hindi pa natin nasasagot, but we will try to email you or reach out to you. Or you may also, as I've said earlier, browse yung respective website ng ating mga speakers, no, for further information. Again, thank you very much to our speakers. We really appreciate your virtual presence today. You know, we continue to extend our hands, even in the little ways, such as this information drive, to somehow contribute in the alleviation of the already difficult situation of our MSMEs and all of us in general. So with that, I will call again Ms. Chris to continue the last part of the program. Ms. Chris?
Yes, Sir Raison. Good afternoon again. And again po, good afternoon sa lahat ng ating participants. So again, to all our resource speakers, Mr. Frank Gonzaga, Attorney Noel Chanela, Mr. Kamhor Tarafdir, Ms. Sarima Panginagina, thank you very much for joining us today and for giving light on the gray areas in terms of Islamic finance to all our participants, most especially to our micro, small, and medium enterprises. Again, thank you very much. For those questions that we are not able to answer because of the limited number of time on our today's webinar, we are ensuring all of you that all our RPs will address those through the halal team of the DTI through Attorney Raison. Now, as we are moving towards the last part of the program, may we call on the Assistant Director of the DTI Export Marketing Bureau, AD Anthony Rivera, for his closing remarks. Good afternoon, AD Anthony.
Good afternoon, Mary Chris.
Hi, sir.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. I'm Anthony Rivera from the Export Marketing Bureau, and I'm privileged and honored to speak before you in this webinar. Today's session provided us with insightful topics and lessons on Islamic finance. We are very fortunate po to have our experienced and well-respected industry leaders who participated in this webinar. In behalf of our team, we would like to take this opportunity to express our deepest gratitude to our resource speakers today, with full support from our DTI Trade Promotions Group Undersecretary Abdul Ghani Makatoman. We would like to acknowledge the valuable expertise and time shared with us by Attorney Noel Tianela from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Mr. Frank Gonzaga from the Small Business Corporation, Mr. Kamrul Tarafder of ASA Philippines Foundation, and Ms. Sarima Paginagina of the Alamana Islamic Investment Bank of the Philippines. We hope that this webinar series has been informative to our participants as we continue to work on our overarching goal towards the development of a reputable halal ecosystem and an all-inclusive growth supportive of MSMEs and as well as large corporations. To our MSMEs, stakeholders, and of course our government partners, Philippine Trade Training Center, the Philippine Halal Export Development and Promotion Board members, our team would like to thank everyone who participated in today's webinar. Shukran at maraming salamat po.
Okay, so thank you very much, AD Anthony. So that's it for our webinar on Islamic finance assistance for Philippine MSMEs. I'm certain that all our participants learned a lot today. So to our participants, please make sure that you have accomplished our client satisfactory feedback survey until July 24, 2020, 5 p.m. for us to award you with a certificate and of course copies of the training material to be provided by our resource speakers. Again, thank you very much for joining the National MSME Week 2020 and hope to see you again tomorrow. Okay, so before we end, shout out po muna tayo to all our participants from the National Capital Region, our regional participants from Imus and Dasmariñas, Cavite, Santa Rosa, Laguna, Antipolo, San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, and Giginto, Bulacan. We also have participants from Pampanga, Baguio City, Catbalogan, Samar, Bataan, Santiago City, Isabela, Tuguegarao City, Ilocos Norte, Suco, Ilocos Sur, Tacloban, Leyte, Oriental Mindoro, and of course, Batanes. Also, we have participants from Cotabato City, Mamasapano, Maguindanao, Manticao, Misamis Oriental, Davao City, Kapalong, Davao del Norte, ASA Philippines Foundation, Sultan Kudarat, Kidapawan City, and of course, Zamboanga City. Also, we have an international participant from Bangladesh. Good afternoon. Okay, so for our team naman po, shout out din sa PTTC Market Team and Back-End Support kay Arnold, Sir Roland, Miss Pressy, Sir Alex, Edie Sir Edgar, and of course, Sir Jet. To the members of Food Processing and Manufacturing Team, kay Bon, Sir Roy, Ma'am Narcel, Casey, Ma'am Cathy, hello po, good afternoon. And to our partner from the DTI-EMB, Sir Raison. Good afternoon again, sir, and thank you very much. Okay.
Shout out muna din, pa-shout out muna din ako before you end. Doon sa
Yes,
team
sir.
naman namin dito sa DTI as usual. Nandyan sila lagi, nakasupport din sa atin. Sila Sir Datu, Adi, hindi ko alam kung nanonood siya ngayon. Celine and AG. So yun lang. Thank you very much.
All right. So thank you very much din po sa ating DTI EMB partners. So this has been your host for today, Marie Cris Cura of the DTI Philippine Trade Training Center Global MSME Academy. Once again, thank you very much and see you again to our next seminar here at DTI Philippine Trade Training Center. Think Training, think PTTC, Jemea. Good afternoon.